Captain Jaiho Park stood at the main window of Earth Defense Force headquarters, looking at the peaceful blue planet below. The space station's quiet hum was broken by urgent beeping from the communication console. A message was coming in from deep space, marked as Priority 1. "Captain, you need to see this," said Lieutenant Han, his voice shaking slightly. "It's from the Collective." Jaiho walked to the console, his heart beating faster. The Collective, an alliance of advanced alien species, had never contacted Earth directly before. Their massive ships had been seen at the edge of the solar system for months, but they had stayed silent until now. The message appeared on the main screen. Its words were simple but frightening. "To the leaders of Earth, your species has grown too quickly, too dangerously. Submit to collective rule within 7 Earth days, or face elimination. This is not a negotiation." Jaiho read the message 3 times. His hands formed into fists. "Get me Dr. Lee from the Xenobiology Department," he ordered. "Right now." Dr. Han Bin Lee was already awake when the call came. She had been studying unusual energy readings from the collective ships. The readings didn't match any known patterns. When she arrived at headquarters, she found Captain Park waiting with Major Sunwoo Kim, the station's head of security. "Dr. Lee, what do you make of this?" Jaiho showed her the message. Han Bin studied the data carefully. "Captain, look at these pattern markers in their transmission." She pointed to some strange symbols in the message's code. "I've seen something like this before, in old research files about extinct alien civilizations." Sun Wu leaned forward. "What do you mean, extinct?" "In the last 50 years, several advanced civilizations have mysteriously disappeared," Han Bin explained. "I never found a connection before, but now." She typed quickly, bringing up more files. The Collective visited each of these worlds before they vanished. Jaiho's face grew serious. "You think they're responsible?" "Yes," Han Bin said. "And there's more. Each of these civilizations showed signs of rapid development, just like humans. We've gone from basic spaceflight to advanced technology in just a few generations. The Collective isn't afraid of our weapons. They're afraid of our potential." The room grew quiet as her words sank in. Sun Wu broke the silence. "So they eliminate any species that might one day challenge them." "It seems so," Han Bin nodded. "But they always offer a choice first, submit or be destroyed. From what I can tell, no species has ever survived refusing them." Jaiho walked back to the window, looking at Earth below. Billions of people had no idea that their fate was being decided right now. "How many ships does the Collective have near our system?" "At least 30 that we can detect," Sun Wu reported. "Each one bigger than anything we've ever built." 7 days, Jaiho said quietly. "They gave us 7 days to give up everything we are, everything we could become." He turned back to face the others. "Dr. Lee, I need everything you can find about their technology, their tactics, anything that might help us fight back." Han Bin looked worried. "Captain, no species has ever beaten them." Jaiho's eyes showed a determined gleam. "Then maybe it's time someone did. Humanity didn't come this far to simply give up. Get me Earth Command. All of them. They need to know what we're facing." As the others rushed to their tasks, Jaiho looked once more at his home planet. The Collective had never faced humans before. They didn't understand that threatening humanity's existence wouldn't make them submit. It would only make them fight harder. The next 7 days would change the galaxy forever, but not in the way the Collective expected. Dr. Han Bin Lee hadn't slept in 36 hours. Her office in the Xenobiology Department was covered with holographic displays showing data from past alien civilizations. Major Sunwoo Kim brought her another cup of coffee, watching as she compared different star maps. "I found something," Han Bin said, pushing her hair back from her tired eyes. "Look at these patterns." Sunwoo stepped closer to the main display. It showed the locations of dozens of extinct civilizations, each marked with a red dot. "What am I looking at?" "The Collective doesn't attack randomly," Han Bin explained. She pressed a button, and blue lines appeared between the dots. They follow a specific order. Each civilization they destroyed was at a similar development stage to the one before it. "And we're next in line," Sun Wu said quietly. Han Bin nodded. "But that's not all." She brought up new data. "I've been studying their communication patterns. The collective isn't just one species. It's 7 different alien races working together, but something's strange about how they interact." She showed Sun Wu a recording of collective ships communicating. "See these power fluctuations? They happen every time ships from different species try to work together. It's like they're struggling to cooperate." Sun Wu leaned forward, his military training kicking in. "A weakness? Maybe." Han Bin pulled up more files. "But here's the really interesting part. I found old records from the Arcturian civilization, the last species the collective destroyed. Before they disappeared, they discovered something about human DNA." She displayed a complex diagram. "Humans can adapt to new situations faster than any species the collective has encountered. We don't just learn from our mistakes, we evolve from them, physically and mentally." The door slid open, and Captain Jeho Park walked in. "Tell me you have good news," he said. "Earth Command is meeting in 3 hours to decide how to respond to the ultimatum." "Captain, the collective isn't invincible," Han Bin said. She quickly explained what she had found. "They're afraid of us because we're different. All their previous victims followed predictable patterns. Humans don't." Jaiho studied the data carefully. "Can we use this?" "I think so," Sun Wu said. "If they have trouble coordinating between species, their response time must be slower than ours. And if they're used to fighting predictable enemies, then we need to be unpredictable." Jaiho finished. He looked at the countdown display on the wall. 4 days remained until the collective's deadline. "There's more," Han Bin said. "I found references to something called the repository in the Arcturian records. It's some kind of database containing the combined knowledge of every species the collective has destroyed. They don't just eliminate civilizations, they steal their technology and knowledge first." Jaiho's eyes widened. "Where is it?" "I don't know exactly," Han Bin admitted. "But the power readings from their largest ship suggest it might be there. They always keep their most important ship at the back of their fleet." Sun Wu started pacing. "So they're not just threatening us. They're planning to steal everything we know, everything we are, before they wipe us out." "Not if we stop them," Jaiho said firmly. He turned to Han Bin. "Keep digging. Find anything that might give us an advantage. Major Kim, I want you to start working on unconventional battle strategies. If they expect us to fight like everyone else, let's show them something new." As Jaiho left for the Earth Command meeting, Han Bin turned back to her displays. Something was still bothering her about the collective's message. She began analyzing it again, looking for hidden patterns. An hour later, she found it. Her hands shook as she called Sun Wu back to her office. "Major, look at this," she said, highlighting part of the message's code. "It's not just an ultimatum. It's a test. They're studying how we react. Everything we do, every response we make. They're gathering data on us." Sun Wu's face hardened. "Then let's give them something they've never seen before." Commander Eugene Kang stood at her post on Jupiter Outpost Station, watching the massive gas giant spin slowly below. The warning came without notice. First, the deep space sensors flickered. Then, 5 collective ships appeared from hyperspace. "Battle stations," Eugene ordered, her voice steady despite her racing heart. "Get me Earth Command." But before anyone could act, the first shots came. Bright purple beams cut through space, striking 3 of the station's outer defense platforms. They exploded in silent bursts of light and metal. "Return fire," Eugene commanded. "All batteries. Show them what humans can do." The station's guns roared to life. Unlike the collective's weapons, human guns fired physical shells, something the aliens weren't expecting. Their energy shields were designed to stop energy weapons, not solid matter moving at incredible speeds. The first volley struck true. One of the collective ship's shields flickered and failed. The second volley tore through its hull, causing it to list sideways in space. "Ma'am," her tactical officer called out. "More ships incoming. At least 12 more." Yujin grabbed the station's comm system. "This is Commander Kang to all Jupiter colony ships. Emergency Protocol 7 is now active. Get your people out. We'll cover your retreat." She watched as civilian ships began launching from the nearby Jupiter colonies. The collective ships turned their weapons toward them, but Yujin had expected this. "Launch all fighters," she ordered. "Protection Formation Delta. Keep those civilians safe." Human fighters poured out of the station's hangars. They were smaller and less advanced than the collective ships, but they were faster and more agile. The pilots had trained for this moment, practicing maneuvers that seemed to defy physics. "Ma'am," her communication officer called out. "Message from the collective flagship." "Put it through," Yujin said. A cold, artificial voice filled the command center. "Your resistance is futile. Submit now, and we will spare the civilians." Yujin smiled grimly. "Tell them this," she said. "Earth doesn't negotiate with bullies." The battle that followed would be remembered for generations. The human fighters darted between the massive collective ships, using Jupiter's strong magnetic field to hide their movements. When the collective adjusted their shields to stop physical projectiles, the station switched to electromagnetic pulses. When they adapted to that, Yujin ordered her forces to use the gas giant's gravity to slingshot missiles at impossible angles. "They're not used to this," Yujin realized as she watched another collective ship fall to human tactics. "They expect us to fight like everyone else they've destroyed." But the victory came at a cost. The station's defenses were failing. Hull breaches appeared on 3 levels. Emergency teams rushed to seal them, fighting against escaping air. "Last civilian ship is away," her tactical officer reported. "But we're down to 20% power." Yujin nodded. She opened a channel to Earth Command. "This is Commander Kang. Jupiter Outpost Station engaged 17 collective vessels. We've destroyed 4, damaged 6 others. All civilians evacuated safely." She paused, watching as more collective ships appeared. "We won't survive another wave. But we've proved something today. They can bleed." "Understood, Commander." Captain Jaiho's voice came back. "You've done more than enough. Get your people out." "Negative, Captain," Yujin said calmly. "If we retreat, they'll follow the civilian ships." She turned to her crew. "Anyone who wants to leave can take the last escape pods. I'm staying." Not a single crew member moved. "Very well," Yujin said. She opened a channel to all remaining fighters. "This is Commander Kang. New orders. Attack pattern Omega. Let's show them what happens when they threaten Earth." The station's remaining guns turned toward the largest enemy ship. In the last moments before impact, Yujin thought she saw something like fear in the way the collective ships tried to retreat. The explosion lit up Jupiter's night side like a second sun. Dr. Han Bin Lee worked in silence as she studied the data from the Jupiter battle. Admiral Taiwan Choi stood beside her, watching the holographic replay of Commander Kang's last stand. The loss of Jupiter Outpost Station had hit everyone hard, but it had also taught them valuable lessons. "Look here," Han Bin said, pointing to energy readings from the collective ships. "When our fighters got close, their shields changed pattern. They had to work harder to stop physical objects than energy weapons." Admiral Choi nodded slowly. "That matches what Commander Kang reported. Their defenses are designed for advanced weapons, not simple kinetic impacts." "It's more than that," Han Bin continued. She brought up new diagrams. "Their ships are beautiful, perfect even. Every system works exactly as intended. But that's their weakness. They don't know how to handle imperfection." The Admiral turned to her. "Explain." "The collective has spent thousands of years perfecting their technology, but they've lost the ability to adapt quickly. When Commander Kang's forces kept changing tactics, The collective ships took longer and longer to respond. A message flashed on the main screen. More collective ships had been spotted near Mars. They were moving slowly, carefully, as if expecting another surprise attack. "They're learning," Admiral Choi said quietly. "Testing us, studying how we fight." "Yes," Han Bin agreed. "But they're still holding back. The weapons they used at Jupiter were powerful, but according to my analysis, they have much stronger ones they haven't used yet." The Admiral's face grew serious. "Why not use everything they have? Why test us first?" "Because they're afraid," a new voice said. Major Sun Woo Kim walked into the lab, carrying fresh data from Earth's defense networks. "They've never faced a species that thinks like us." Dr. Lee was right. They're gathering data, trying to understand us before they commit to full attack. Han Bin pulled up images from the battle. "Look at their formation when our fighters attacked. Perfect spacing, perfect coordination. But when we did something unexpected," she pointed to where the collective ships had briefly moved out of formation, creating gaps in their defense. "They follow patterns," Admiral Choi realized. "Even their attacks are carefully planned, step by step." "Exactly," Han Bin said. "And there's something else. During the battle, we detected unusual energy readings from their command ship. It was like they were receiving instructions from somewhere else, maybe from their leadership wherever they keep the repository." Sun Woo stepped forward. "If we could find that location, we might have a chance," the Admiral finished. He looked at the battle data again. "How many ships did we destroy at Jupiter?" "4 confirmed," Han Bin answered. "6 damage, but they have hundreds more waiting at the edge of our solar system." Admiral Choi was quiet for a moment. "Send this data to all Earth Defense Force commanders. Tell them to start training our forces in randomized attack patterns. If they want to study us, let's show them something new every time." As the Admiral left, Han Bin turned back to her work. Something in the energy readings still bothered her. The patterns were familiar somehow. Her eyes widened as she made the connection. "Major," she called to Sun Woo, "I need to show you something. Remember those extinct civilizations we studied? Look at their final recorded energy signatures, then look at what we detected from the collective ships." Sun Woo examined the data. "They're similar. But how?" "Because the collective isn't just stealing technology," Han Bin said, her voice shaking slightly. "They're absorbing it. Somehow, they're taking the essence of each civilization they destroy and adding it to their own power." The implications were clear. If Earth fell, humanity wouldn't just die. Everything they were, everything they could become, would be consumed by the collective. "We need to tell the Admiral," Sun Woo said. "This changes everything." Han Bin nodded, but her mind was already racing ahead. If the collective could absorb technology and knowledge, maybe that process could be reversed. Maybe there was a way to free all those trapped civilizations. But first, they had to survive. Chief Medical Officer Myra Song had seen many difficult things in her years of service, but nothing prepared her for this day. The Mars Medical Station was supposed to be safe, protected by international law. It was marked with clear medical symbols that any spacefaring race would recognize. No one was supposed to attack a hospital. The collective didn't care. Myra was treating a young engineer when the first shots hit. The entire station shook, and emergency lights filled the corridors with red warnings. "Everyone stay calm," Myra called out to her medical staff. "Begin evacuation procedures. Priority 1 patients first." Through the station's windows, she could see 3 collective ships approaching. They were smaller than the ones that attacked Jupiter, but their weapons were already charging. "Dr. Song," her assistant called. "We have 42 patients who can't be moved. They're too badly injured from the Jupiter battle." Myra made her decision quickly. "I'm staying with them. Get everyone else to the escape pods." The next few minutes were chaos. Medical staff helped walking patients to safety while Myra and a few volunteers worked to protect those who couldn't move. They used emergency force fields to seal off the critical care ward. The station's commander called over the intercom. Collective ships are demanding our surrender. They say they want to study human medical technology. Study it, Mireille said to herself. She looked at her patients, brave men and women who had been injured defending Earth. They want to steal it, just like everything else. The first blast hit the station's upper level. Mireille steadied herself and kept working. She had just finished stabilizing a patient when Dr. Hanbinley's voice came through her personal communicator. Mireille, listen carefully, Hanbin said urgently. The collective doesn't just want the station. They want our medical knowledge. Everything we know about healing, about saving lives. They want to add it to their repository. Mireille looked around her medical bay. Generations of human medical science were stored in these computers. Ways to heal injuries, cure diseases, save lives. In the collective's hands, this knowledge of healing could be turned into something else. Ways to cause pain, to break people. What do you need me to do? Mireille asked. Admiral Choi has a plan, Hanbin explained. But we need time. Can you keep the collective distracted? Mireille smiled grimly. I'm a doctor. Making people wait in hospitals is one of our specialties. She activated the station's communication system. This is Chief Medical Officer Song to collective forces. Under Earth medical protocols, I cannot abandon critical patients. If you want our medical data, you'll have to come in and get it. The collective ships paused their attack. Mireille knew they were confused. Their scans would show most of the station was empty, except for the critical care ward. They would have to board the station if they wanted the medical databases intact. Doctor, one of her nurses said, Earth Defense Force ships are coming, but they're still 20 minutes away. Then we hold for 20 minutes, Mireille said firmly. She began preparing surgical tools, not for surgery this time. When the collective soldiers broke through the doors, they found something they had never seen before. Medical staff who fought with the same skill they used to heal. Mireille had spent years learning how the human body worked. She knew exactly where to strike. The Battle of Mars Medical Station lasted 18 minutes. When Earth Defense Force ships arrived, they found the collective soldiers either unconscious or trapped in their own stasis fields. Mireille had turned the medical bay's healing technology into improvised weapons. Not a single patient was lost. Admiral Choi himself came to debrief her. Dr. Song, he said, looking at the captured collective soldiers. You've just proven something very important. It's not just our weapons they should fear. Mireille nodded, understanding. Humanity's greatest strength wasn't in their guns or ships. It was in their ability to adapt, to turn anything, even healing tools, into a means of survival. The collective had made a terrible mistake. They had awakened something in humanity that couldn't be stopped. General Jinwoo Park stood before the Earth Defense Force command staff. The room was silent as they watched recordings from the Mars Medical Station attack. The images of collective ships firing on a hospital filled everyone with cold anger. The time for conventional warfare is over, Jinwoo said, his voice firm and clear. The collective expects us to fight like a military. Instead, we will fight like humans. Admiral Choi stepped forward. General Park has developed a new strategy. Dr. Lee, please explain what we've learned about the collective. Hanbin activated the main display. The collective thinks in perfect patterns. Their ships move in precise formations. Their attacks follow strict protocols. But this perfection is their weakness. They cannot handle chaos. Jinwoo nodded. From this moment, every Earth Defense Force unit will operate independently. No more large fleet actions. No more predictable strategies. We fight like our ancestors did, like hunters. The general brought up a new tactical display. Small groups of human ships appeared, scattered throughout the solar system. We will strike from nowhere, hit them when they least expect it, disappear before they can respond. Every attack will be different from the last. Major Sun Woo Kim raised his hand. Sir, we're outnumbered at least 20 to 1. How can small groups hope to succeed? By using what they don't expect, Jin Wu answered. He showed footage from previous battles. Look how long it takes them to respond when we do something unusual. Their ships have to consult with each other, agree on a response. In that delay lies our advantage. Han Bin added her own data. Their ships are connected to a central intelligence, possibly in their repository. This makes them powerful but slow to adapt. Every decision must be approved. Every response must follow protocol. While they're deciding, Jin Wu continued, we will already be gone, preparing for the next strike. No attack will come from the same direction twice. No tactic will be used more than once. The command staff watched as he demonstrated the new strategy. Small, fast human ships would appear from behind moons or asteroids, strike quickly, then vanish. Each group would use different weapons, different approaches. Some would use electromagnetic pulses, others kinetic weapons, others would target communications or sensors. We call it Operation Chaos, Admiral Choi explained. The collective has spent thousands of years perfecting their way of war. We will show them something they've never seen before. A junior officer spoke up. But sir, this goes against all standard military doctrine. Jin Wu smiled. Exactly. Standard doctrine is what they expect. Humanity didn't survive on Earth by being predictable. We survived by adapting, by thinking differently, by doing the unexpected. He showed the final part of the plan. Every ship will carry a piece of our strategy, but no ship will know the whole plan. Even if they capture some of us, they won't understand our full approach. We will be like water, flowing around their defenses, finding every crack in their perfect system. The room was quiet as the implications sank in. This wasn't just a change in tactics. It was a fundamental shift in how humans would fight. The collective thinks they understand us, Jin Wu concluded. They've studied our weapons, our ships, our standard tactics. But they've never seen humanity truly unleashed. When we hit our breaking point, we don't break down. We break through. Admiral Choi stood. Operation Chaos begins in 6 hours. Dismissed. As the command staff left to prepare their forces, Han Bin approached the general. The collective wanted to study human behavior, she said quietly. They're about to learn more than they ever wanted to know. Dr. Han Bin Lee stared at her computer screen, hardly daring to believe what she saw. After weeks of analyzing data from Operation Chaos, she had finally found the pattern within the chaos. Major Sun Woo Kim stood behind her, watching the numbers scroll across the screen. This is it, Han Bin said, her voice trembling with excitement. Look at how the collective ships respond when our attacks become truly random. Their reaction time doesn't just slow down, it breaks down completely. Sun Woo leaned closer. Explain it to me in simple terms. The collective thinks like a single mind. All their ships connect to their central intelligence. When something unexpected happens, they have to reach consensus before they can act. Han Bin brought up battle footage from recent attacks. But General Park's strategy is creating so much chaos that they can't reach consensus. Their perfect system is falling apart. Captain Hai Jin Cho, leader of Earth's Special Operations Teams, entered the lab. Her uniform showed signs of recent combat. We just finished another raid. The collective ships are definitely getting slower to respond. Han Bin nodded eagerly. That's because their entire civilization is built on perfect order. They'd forgotten how to handle true randomness. Each of our attacks creates a kind of mathematical chaos in their system, like throwing a stone into a perfect pond. Sun Woo said thoughtfully. The ripples disrupt everything. Exactly. Han Bin pulled up new data. And there's more. Remember how they absorb knowledge from civilizations they destroy? That process works through absolute control. They can't absorb knowledge that's completely unpredictable. Hai Jin smiled grimly. So we're not just confusing them. We're showing them something they can't steal. The lad's communication screen activated. Admiral Choi's face appeared. Dr. Lee, we need your findings. The collective is gathering their largest fleet yet near Saturn. Han Bin quickly explained her discovery. The admiral listened carefully, then turned to Captain Cho. "Can your teams use this?" "Yes, sir," Hai-Jin replied. "If their system breaks down under chaos, we'll give them more chaos than they can handle." Over the next 24 hours, Earth's forces prepared for their biggest operation yet. Small ships gathered in hidden positions throughout the solar system. Each commander received different orders, ensuring no two attacks would be alike. Captain Cho led the first strike. Her ships appeared from behind Saturn's rings, using the ice and debris as cover. But instead of attacking directly, they launched thousands of small drones. Each drone moved in a completely random pattern, creating a cloud of chaos around the collective fleet. The effect was immediate. The massive alien ships, used to fighting in perfect formation, began to move erratically. Their weapons fired in random directions as their targeting systems failed to predict the drone's movements. "Now," Hai-Jin commanded. Earth ships struck from all directions. Some fired conventional weapons. Others used improvised weapons made from mining equipment. A few brave pilots even flew directly at the collective ships, only to change course at the last second, creating more confusion. In the command center, Han Bin watched the battle through data streams. "Their network is overloading," she reported. "They can't process so many unpredictable events at once." For the first time, a collective ship sent out a distress signal. Then another, and another. Their perfect formation broke apart as each ship tried to make decisions on its own, something they had never done before. "We found their weakness," Admiral Choi said quietly. "They wanted to study human behavior. They're learning that humanity's greatest strength is our ability to embrace chaos." The battle ended with 7 collective ships destroyed and many more retreating in disorder. But more importantly, Earth's forces had proved that the seemingly invincible alien fleet could be beaten. As the data from the battle came in, Han Bin made one final discovery. Hidden in the collective's distress signals was a star map, the location of their repository, the source of their power. The real battle was about to begin. The battle for Proxima Centauri would decide everything. Admiral Taiwan Choi stood on the bridge of Earth's flagship, watching as human ships gathered for their final attack. The repository, the source of the collective's power, orbited the distant star like a massive metal moon. Dr. Han Bin Lee worked at her station, monitoring energy readings from the structure. "It's just as we thought, Admiral. The repository contains the stored knowledge of every civilization they've destroyed. But it's more than that. It's their central mind, the thing that connects all their ships." Commander Yu Jin Kang's voice came through the communication system. Some had thought her dead after the Jupiter battle, but she and many of her crew had survived, rescued by escape pods. Now she led the fastest ships in the fleet. "All strike teams report ready, Admiral." "Remember," Han Bin said, "we don't need to destroy the repository. We just need to overload it with chaos theory attacks. If we can break their network, we can free all the civilizations they've absorbed." Admiral Choi nodded. "Begin Operation Final Chaos." The battle started exactly as General Jin Woo Park had planned. Small human ships attacked from random directions, each using different tactics. Some fired normal weapons. Others released clouds of simple metal debris that confused the collective sensors. Many just flew in unpredictable patterns, creating more chaos in the enemy's system. The collective's response was massive. Hundreds of their ships moved to protect the repository. But they were fighting differently now. Slower, more cautiously. They had learned to fear human unpredictability. "They're trying to adapt," Major Sun Woo Kim reported from his tactical station. "But they can't copy our chaos. Every time they think they understand our pattern, we change it." Captain Hai-Jin Cho's special forces struck next. Her ships had been modified based on Dr. Lee's research. They broadcast random energy patterns that matched the repository's frequency, creating confusion in the collective's network. "It's working," Han Bin called out excitedly. "The repository is trying to process too many random variables at once. Their system is starting to break down. Through the chaos of battle, Commander Kang led her fast attack ships directly toward the repository. The massive structure's defenses were strong, but they were designed to stop logical attacks, not the pure randomness of human creativity. Now, Dr. Lee, Admiral Choi ordered. Han Bin activated the device she had created, a transmitter that broadcast pure mathematical chaos directly into the repository's network. The effect was immediate. The giant structure's perfect surface began to pulse with strange lights. Energy readings are going crazy, Sun Wu reported. The repository can't handle this much randomness. Suddenly, the repository's surface began to crack. But instead of explosions, beams of light poured out. Within each beam, they could see images, alien cities, strange ships, unknown worlds, all the civilizations the collective had absorbed over thousands of years. They're breaking free, Han Bin whispered. The collective can't hold them anymore. The collective ships stopped fighting. Their perfect formation fell apart as the central intelligence that controlled them broke down. Without the repository to guide them, each ship had to think for itself, something they have forgotten how to do long ago. Admiral Choi opened a channel to all ships, both human and collective. This is how humanity fights, not just with weapons, but with creativity, with chaos, with the freedom to act and think as individuals. Your perfect order was your weakness. Our beautiful chaos was our strength. The battle ended not with a surrender, but with an awakening. As the repository's stored civilizations broke free, the collective ships retreated, their crews facing something they had never known before, the need to think for themselves. Months later, Dr. Lee stood with Admiral Choi in the New Earth Embassy. Representatives from dozens of freed civilizations had gathered to thank humanity and establish new peaceful relations. They wanted to study how humans think, Han Bin said, watching the diverse group of aliens interact. In the end, that's exactly what saved us all. Admiral Choi smiled. And now no species will ever forget the day humanity reached its breaking point and showed the galaxy a better way forward.